Our story begins here. This is when the timeline and the destiny of every living being in the galaxy changed. Before Sidious can gut Savage, blaster fire rings out from above. Sidious shifts his attack into a guard, battling the blaster bolts of Mandalorian super commandos away. An army of Maul's loyal men had arrived to defend their rightful leader. Moments before the duel began, just before Sidious engaged the brothers in battle, he force-choked 2 Mandalorian guards. In this timeline, one of the guards managed to hit a distress beacon, warning all active and inactive super commandos that their leader was in danger. This brought Gar Saxon and the other loyal Maul followers to the brothers' aid. The clash between the forces of evil becomes a grand-scale battle. Demonstrating his mastery of the dark side, Sidious fries many of the assaulting Mandalorians with lightning, cutting down any who get too close and throwing many away. Jetpacks erupt, thermal detonators and flamethrowers are unleashed, turning the palace grounds into a hellscape. With the second wind provided by the arrival of his devoted soldiers, Maul arises, drawing the Darksaber forth and returning to battle with 2 sabers in hand. To face Sidious in a duel was suicide, but with the Mandalorians' arrival, it had become a battle, a winnable battle. With his brother's support, with the beast swarm of blaster fire, slug throwers and flames, and by pouring all of his rage, his hatred, his malice into every strike, Maul managed to disarm Sidious, much how Mace Windu did in Episode 3. Unlike the Jedi Master, however, Maul did not hesitate and stabbed Sidious through the chest. In the middle of the night, on a night like any other on Coruscant, Mace Windu entered the meditation chamber of Grand Master Yoda, who was awaiting his arrival. Together, the two silently understood one another. There was a violent disturbance in the Force. On a colossal scale, dark times were upon them. Far away on Mandalore, the source of their premonition revealed itself. Maul and Savage stand over the slain body of Darth Sidious. Maul's Mandalorian commandos, some charred, many wounded, most dead, glance at the flaming hellscape the great battle had wrought. It took an army of the finest of true Mandalorians and brothers who walked the dark path to overcome the Dark Lord of the Sith. Maul could hardly believe it himself. He glanced at the Darksaber, still burning in his grip, still frying off the last of the viscera cleaved from his old master's body. He nearly dropped it to the ground as the weight of this achievement comes to him in full force. He looked up into the smoky sky, glancing at the helmed visors of Mandalorians, searing his eyes with the light of the still burning flames, and briefly meeting Savage's gaze, who no doubt felt the monster writhing within Maul. To the people of Mandalore, the planet was orbiting as it always did, on its destined path, but in truth, it had been disturbed, tugged by black forces into an estranged alignment. In his gut, the monster was returning, emerging from the blackest depths of his heart, and changing him from within, fundamentally. The dark side had claimed him as its own. He was short of breath from both the exertion and the overwhelming surge of power. So, he allowed the monster to writhe and destroy what was old, as he held the Darksaber aloft in victory and looked to his subjects as someone new. Arousing speeches given to the Mandalorians, as Maul proclaimed himself Darth Maul once more, exposing Sidious as Palpatine to them, and promising that they will not resolve to wait and grow on Mandalore. They will rebuild the once great Mandalorian Empire and bring an end to the Republic, the Jedi, and the pretender Dooku and his droid armies. They will usher in an endless era of the true Mandalore, with him, Darth Maul, and his apprentice, Savage, who was dubbed then and there as Darth Savage. Believing himself to be the ultimate power in the universe, Darth Maul believed that there is one singular threat to his rule, that being the boy Anakin Skywalker, the one called the Chosen One. Immediately, he began to formulate a plan to remove him from the field and circumvent his fate. Obi-Wan had been freed from his captivity by Bo-Katan and her followers, ushered back to Coruscant to report on his failures and the situation on Mandalore. However, in this timeline, upon his return, Obi-Wan discovered the Mandalore crisis is superseded by a far more troubling matter, one being kept under wraps by the Jedi and the higher echelons of the Republic. The Chancellor has gone missing. The only clue of his disappearance was security camera footage of him leaving his office and presumably returning to his own estate. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka are assigned to investigate his disappearance, pursuing the lead while Jedi and trusted confidants search elsewhere. Mas Amedda, trusted member of Palpatine's cabinet, is at first insistent that Palpatine is secure, pursuing a personal matter. However, the Jedi can sense his uncertainty. Upon insistence, Mas Amedda shared the details of the spacecraft that Palpatine left Coruscant with. The trio of Jedi set out in search of the man truly holding the Republic together. Throughout the investigation, the Jedi are ambushed many times in hit-and-run style attacks by Mandalorian supercommandos. They survive these encounters, believing that it is a case of Maul seeking Obi-Wan's head for escaping his clutches. This is disproven, and more sinister plots are made apparent when they pick up a distress beacon from a craft that matches the Chancellor's ship, ominously close to Mandalore. They find it drifting silently in space, undamaged. When they approach it and attempt to dock, however, a Black Sun frigate emerges from hyperspace, flanked by Sarissa-class gunships that open fire on Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. While Anakin outmaneuvers and destroys the gunships, he rushes to pursue the Black Sun frigate that has tractor-beamed the Chancellor's ship and made a break for Mandalore. Though Obi-Wan insisted that they should notify the Jedi Council that it's possible Maul has captured the Chancellor, their comms are jammed. Mandalorian gunships arrive, engaging the Jedi and scoring fatal hits on the craft. Forced to make a break for it, Anakin uses his superior piloting skill to direct the craft towards the planet, and yet another one of his rough landings. They all enter into emergency survival capsules and survive the crash, scattering in different locations. Anakin and Obi-Wan land in relatively close proximity to one another, and are immediately taken into custody by the Mandalorians. Ahsoka, however, who experiences difficulties launching her capsule, landed further away from the two. When a smaller team of Maul's commandos arrive to check for survivors of the crash, Ahsoka kills them, taking their craft and pursuing Anakin and Obi-Wan. Anakin and Obi-Wan are brought before Maul in the capital city, witnessing the Shadow Collective prepare for what looks like to be a massive military operation. Anakin demanded to know what Maul did with the Chancellor, and Maul asks Savage to show Anakin. Savage tosses the corpse of Palpatine to the ground before the two. He revealed Palpatine's identity as Darth Sidious, that he attempted to stop them and wound up dead for it, and that he used his disappearance to lure them here to be put to death. He revealed Palpatine's lightsaber, explaining to Anakin that he was long groomed to be Sidious's apprentice, and that the war was a lie to destroy the Jedi Order and form a galaxy that Sidious alone ruled. Just before Maul's commandos can execute the Jedi, Ahsoka arrived in her stolen Mandalorian ship, causing a distraction long enough for Anakin and Obi-Wan to retrieve their lightsabers and challenge Maul and Savage. Maul drew the Darksaber, the blade that killed Palpatine, and the symbol of his control on the Shadow Collective, while Savage revealed a new weapon, forged from his old saber staff, a cross-guard lightsaber. Obi-Wan commented that he is no longer copying his brother, and Savage proclaimed that he is reborn, that he is not a shadow of Maul, but a true Sith. The resulting battle is a spectacle for the ages, Sith and Jedi clashing on a scale not seen since the days of the Old Republic. In the end, none can come out on top. Obi-Wan advised retreat, that they're no good to the galaxy dead, and that they have to tell the Jedi Council what's happened. Combining their collective strength in the Force, the trio create a massive force push that distracted and temporarily stunned their opponents. The Jedi escaped to the sewer systems, with Maul ordering their pursuit. With the cat out of the bag, the Dark Lord of the Sith transmitted the darkest transmission the galaxy had ever seen to both the Republic and the Separatists. Maul revealed Palpatine's true identity, death, and his declaration of war to all who oppose him. He warned the Jedi their slave army, the Pretender Dooku, and his followers to beware of the Shadow Collective. On Sereno, Count Dooku was caught completely off guard and outraged at the false declaration of Maul as Dark Lord. On Coruscant, chaos begun to reign supreme. There were riots in the streets, and the Senate courtroom is a blur of shouts and disorder. Mas Amedda is strangely absent during this. On Mustafar, longtime confidant of Darth Sidious, Sate Pistage, ended a transmission with Mas Amedda as the two set out about a secret operation. Palpatine was no fool. He had rigged the entire galaxy in his favor, planning for every outcome. Consider the death of Palpatine on Endor and Project Cinder. Palpatine was constantly changing his plans to suit his needs, and likely had a contingency in place if he had died during the war, much like in the What If Anakin Trained Grogu timeline. Mas and Sate's orders were clear. If Darth Sidious cannot have the galaxy, none may have the galaxy. From the Chancellor's office, Mas transmits a pre-recorded message to all active and inactive clone commanders on every front. On Mustafar, Sate Pistage transmitted an encoded signal with new orders to every Confederate battle droid, either on the field of battle or in production. On every battlefield and every ship, on every base where Jedi generals work to save the Republic, their men turn on them unexpectedly. On every Confederate front and every Confederate fleet, the droids' programming turns. They're ordered to take control of and enact martial law on every planet, Republic or Separatist, and to supersede the orders of any organic Separatist leader. They turn on their masters and citizens, corralling and causing chaos on every Separatist planet. In his office, Count Dooku powered his lightsaber as his Magna Guards turned their sights on him. From their chambers, the Jedi Council looked down upon the city as a legion of clones march up the temple steps. The 501st, led by Captain Rex, and the 212th, led by Commander Cody, lead the operation to wipe out and subdue the Jedi Temple. And all the while, from his throne on Mandalore, Darth Maul looked upon the chaos and death he has wrought and smiled. With Sidious in control of the war, there was controlled chaos. But with that important chess piece removed, and Maul taking his place, it resulted in uncontrolled chaos, which is reminiscent of Maul's nature. This is the consequence of Palpatine being slain by Maul, and all of his plans being destroyed. And this is where we end part 1 of this story.